Hello, and welcome to the School of Stocks. I'm your host, Victor Dungo. Today, we shall be continuing on our series of the boom and bust. Last time, we spoke about the human fallibility theory and reflexivity theory, which then came together to form the human uncertainty principle, which, again, I will just illustrate with this. You have the biased human and reality. So because of his bias, he keeps altering reality. So you have the objective reality, which is the true reality, and then you have the what you call the perceived perceived reality. So this perceived reality is because of the human bias, which creates a cognitive distortion. So it's trying to change reality to what he thinks it is, and then reality with what he's achieved or managed to change further reinforces his bias. So it's a kind of self-reinforcing principle in a way. So let's now apply this to the boom and bust scenario. So in the boom, asset price goes like that. Let's say this is a graph, and this is time, and this is dollar amount. What causes a boom? Well, boom comes about as a result of money and credit. These things inflate asset value. At the end of a boom cycle, the net new credit dries up. So this happens at the end of a boom. So now let's assume we got real estate. Here at the beginning of a boom, we got it for $1 million. So because of money and credit, this real estate keeps hopping up and hopping up in price. Asset price go up and up and up. They mop up this money and that. Lenders would always think also that asset price will keep going up, so they are ready to even lend more money against that same real estate because they know it's going to go up in subsequent years. When this happens, there now comes a gap between the objective reality and the perceived reality. The gap begins to widen and widen and widen until it becomes unsustainable. This credit can come in form of sovereign debt, corporate debt, we have personal debt, we have mortgages, we have credit cards, we have overdraft. So all this feed into that to create a boom. This gap gets so wild, it becomes unsustainable. What then happens is that the perceived reality swings to close the gap to the objective reality. That is when the burst happens. What causes the burst? Unsustainable reality. Remember the mortgage crisis of 2007? This is it. 2, deleveraging. So all the monies, all these debts, people borrowing up against, they need to quickly sell and pay back. 3, human loss aversion. Human beings hate to lose. Daniel Kahneman said it, that the pain of a loss is very, very neural. So when a burst happens, people feel pain right inside their brain. And that pain is so big that they need to actually sell to get rid of the loss. So all of this makes this process a very sharp drop, a very sharp swing. So all in all, people are trying to deleverage and they are trying to swing back to reality. They are trying to swing the perceived reality back to the objective reality. So everybody is trying to sell. That creates this kind of panic. This is where you see assets lose values of up to 80%. 80% loss of value. And that is where Warren Buffett says, now it is the time to get greedy. So others are afraid, but you are getting greedy. So that is it. And remember, this process, which is self-correcting, can be overdone. So people then sell. For instance, a company whose market capitalization is maybe $10 billion can then get sold to almost $2 billion. And meanwhile, when you look at the net asset value of that company, you might even find that the cash alone that that company is sitting on is worth more than the market capitalization of that company. This is the cases where you find those kind of situations. So that is why it's very important to understand this human uncertainty principle. That's the principle involving the reflexivity and human fallibility theory. It's not just real estate that increase here. So also there are things called price to earning ratio, PE ratio, price to book ratio, price to sales ratio, all increase during a boom. This is when it all increases. For instance, at the beginning of a boom, you can get PE ratio of maybe 5, 6, or 10. At this point, you can have PE ratios of 50, 70, 100, 200. That is it. So it's not just price of real estate increasing. It is also the price to earning ratios and every other thing that increases. So when this gets corrected, this swings back to somewhere here. That is when perceived reality swings back to objective reality. Sometimes it can even overswing, and then perceived reality can swing up to this place, swing beyond the objective reality and become so cheap. Thank you so much for watching this. We shall be using this to guide ourselves in our investments so that we know when there is a boom and then we know when there is a bust. It's quite important to do that. Thank you and have a lovely day.